In this video, we're going to look at how we deal with data where we've collected it from a group. So here we've been to see some red river hogs, perhaps at a local zoo, and they've been given 4 different treatments. There's a control treatment where nothing has changed above standard practice. But then, if we look down the data set, we find that they've been given a jolly ball to play with, a nice round enrichment device, and then they've been given a brush to scratch themselves with, and then finally a mirror, perhaps to stimulate some social behaviour. Anyway, 4 treatments, and each of those treatments had 5 replicates. In this format, it's not quite ready for the statistical analysis, because what we want is to sort of consolidate the data per replicate. So you can see that there are 20 observations for each replicate. And here, the first replicate of control, there was no hogs standing, grazing, lying. They were all foraging and nothing else. This is just part of the data set because there's other hogs that are not recorded here. You'll see that these rows add up to different numbers. Okay. But how do we do that? Well, what we want to do is we want to get the sum of all a single behaviour for all the observations within one replicate. And this is where the pivot table in Excel can be really helpful. So we're going to select all the data. I'm going to just click in the table. Because there's nothing next to it or below it, I can press Control A, and it's going to select all of the information for me. Good. So I have that. Now we go to Insert, and then Pivot Table is here. And we've collected our range already. So here's going to collect the top one. And again, I'm going to put it on the same worksheet this time. You might want to put it onto a new worksheet, particularly if you're going to export it into another program. But here I'm going to put it on an existing worksheet, and I'm going to locate it just there. Okay. And then we have this menu come up on the side. So here we're going to start off with putting our treatment in the rows box. And here there's our 4 treatments we can see quite nicely. And then we've got 5 replicates for each one. So I'm going to also drag that down to the rows box. So we've got 5 replicates for each one. I'm not going to put the observations in there because that would just give us the sheet we have already. But what I am going to do is I'm going to put the behaviours in the values section. And you'll see by default, it does a sum of standing, which is exactly what we want, sort of a sum of all those 20 values. So here, if we added all those up, we can see that there were 18 in replicate 1, where the animals are using the brush, a 24 control, etc., etc. Actually, because we did that in the last one, I can just put ticks in these boxes and then add them all there. Or I could have dragged them down in the same way. So we've got a nice pivot table with the data, but it's still not ripe for a data analysis. We want to get rid of all these different summaries and everything like that. So here, if we go to the Design tab, which has come up, because we've selected this table, notice if I click over here, they disappear. But if I click in the table, I have these next 2 green ones that are context specific. Here, I want to go to Design, and I want this table to not have these summary rows. So if we get rid of the subtotals do not show them. Well, that disappears. The grand totals at the bottom and at the end, I don't want them either. That's much cleaner here. It's not quite right. I want to have these treatments and the replicates in their own column. So if I go to Report Layout, instead of being in this compact form, I want it in the tabular form. That's looking much neater, nearly there, but I want to fill in these gaps. So here, Report Layout, repeat the all item labels. And there we go. A nice data set that is absolutely ready for further analysis, whether that be for descriptive analysis or you actually wanted to do perhaps your Kruskal-Wallis or analysis of variance to test the different treatments. And that's how you deal with group data. And it's a very nice implementation of Excel pivot tables to go on to another statistical package. Thank you for watching.